afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this very timely conversation. India's EV growth momentum is definitely happening. There is a clear direction as well, but then there is a difference between momentum and scale. It is this gap between where we are and where we want to be is what makes this conversation even more relevant today. We are at a moment we talked about where fuel prices have gone up. Global supply chains are under scrutiny, and back home we are talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is going to define how we scale up and sustainably we grow this entire ecosystem. So the question is not if this EV transition is happening, but it's more about whether it is what is really driving it, what is holding it back, and what is it that we need so that it scales up sustainably. And that's where this panel discussion is over here. So without any further ado, the good part is we have the representatives from across the EV ecosystem, so we're going to have a very engaging conversation. One question to all of you. What is the single biggest driver of demand today and one barrier which is still holding it back? I'm not going in any alphabetical order. Shubho, let's start with you.
I think, the first point which you said, what is the biggest driver, is simply vehicles on roads. Yeah. So the biggest driver is definitely vehicles on roads, because no matter the TCO, etc., the more people see vehicles on road, the more people experience their friends, neighbors using vehicles, the more confident they get about the vehicles. In terms of challenges, I would say not one but two. One is, right now there is a little bit of uncertainty about the used vehicle markets of EV, which is preventing adoption. And if the EV wants to break through into currently unaddressable segments, then the range issue needs to be addressed technologically.
Great. Ashok, your perspective?
See, I think we Indians are very dynamic. You give us any possibility where there's a sustainable business, you don't have to promote it. You have to promote something where I think economic sustainability is not there. We always believed in reuse, recycle, repair. Here also, I think there are a lot of things that needs to be done. The biggest challenge as far as EV passenger vehicles are concerned is the cost. And when I talk about my industry, which is into transportation or mobility, the cost of a particular vehicle is almost 2x or 2.5x of a ICE engine. Moment the product becomes more viable, I think it will be adopted for sure.
Interesting. Pramod, what is your take?
Yeah. I think to my view, biggest driver is the unit cost economics. Any product. So EV, we are talking about EV, I think the unit cost economics is the biggest driver today. And India is a price sensitive market. We are not driven by decarbonization or ESG goals. We are driven by मेरा EMI कम होता है कि नहीं महीना month on month. So that to me is the biggest cost driver, and we have proven, like industry has proven in 2 and 3 wheeler or micro mobility segment, where the cost per kilometer for a 2-wheeler is around 95 paisa to 2.5 rupees for fossil fuel based 2-wheeler, or in case of 3-wheeler it is 2 rupees 50 paisa what we are charging to 4 to 5 rupees. So I think cost is the biggest driver in my, unit cost economics is the biggest driver, A. On the barrier side, I think the ecosystem maturity is probably what we need to improve. Infrastructure has to be denser. Financing and other options have to be open, more accessible, just like fossil fuel world. And I think these two will drive probably the
Uday, what is your
growth
view?
further.
Well, first of all, great to be here, and always thanks to Effie and my good friend Roshan San, always putting such great events. To me, there's number one agenda of this country is forget Atmanirbhar Bharat. I speak my mind, so please don't. It's not about Atmanirbhar Bharat. It's not about any of these. It's about energy independence. आज 3 महीने में हम लोगों की हालत खराब हो गई है. वर्क फ्रॉम होम, गोल्ड मत खरीदो, ये मत करो, वो मत करो. 3 महीने में हमारी हालत खराब हो गई है इस कंट्री में. प्लीज आप मेरी जरा रिक्वेस्ट है. I've spent about almost 10 years in this beautiful state. My home's in Switzerland. I live here. जहाँ की 500-800 AQI. Please, green energy sustainability की भी बात मत करो, किसी को फर्क नहीं पड़ता. What matters is total cost ownership. What matters is if we don't get energy independence. I'll tell you, छोड़ो ये बिरयानी की स्टार्टअप्स और ये गिग वर्कर्स की, इससे इंडिया भागे नहीं बढ़ेगा. प्लीज, AI, रोबोटिक्स, जो काम हो रहा है, EV में हमारे पास एक चांस था और वो अभी भी है. Okay? And I'll tell you what, we have the 2, the 3, the 1-ton trucks. Even, you'll see passenger vehicles come up. We've got to be able to be energy independent. We've got to honestly put our mind towards putting, and the total cost ownership is working, right? And I think we've got to all combine forces together. हम लोग सब कहते हैं भारत माता की जय. अपनी माँ की जय क्या कर रहे हैं जब हम एक दूसरे से काम ही नहीं कर रहे हैं, एक दूसरे से competition. We need to make sure we combine forces together. We've got to be able to reduce our foreign dependence on oil, and we've got to stop being so reactive. कभी कभार proactive हो जाएं. कभी चाइना मैग्नेट्स बंद कर देता है, कभी कोई कुछ बंद कर देता है, उसके बाद हम उछलना शुरू करते हैं. थोड़ा बहुत रिएक्टिव हो जाएं तो उससे प्रोएक्टिव हो जाएं. The biggest problem I see आज की डेट में, हमें सबको अब पता लग रहा है ऑयल $100 के ऊपर चला गया है तो हमें प्रॉब्लम है. तो गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसी कभी ऊपर कभी नीचे, कभी हमने ईवी को सपोर्ट करना है, कभी हमने नहीं सपोर्ट करना है. हम कितना, how many dollars are we spending today if we promote infrastructure, charging, swaps लाओ, swap को यूज करो, बैटरी चार्जिंग को, मतलब चार्जिंग इंफ्रा को सेटअप करो, and not just, see, India is not Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai. Tier 2, 3, 4 cities में जाके करो, तभी बात बनेगी. And I'll tell you honestly, we've all got to be part of this journey. This is not a few of us, it's for all of us. और ये country जो नीचे वाले हैं, 10 million follower तो वो कॉकरोच पार्टी ने 2 दिन में ही उठा लिए, right? That is something, honestly, 2 दिन में, right? And I'm telling you that this is what needs to happen. We need to focus on building an India. See, हमने जब ये शुरू किया था तो हमने सोचा था क्लीनर ग्रीनर इंडिया बनाएंगे. छोड़ो क्लीनर ग्रीनर इंडिया, TCO मॉडल दो तो सब क्लीनर ग्रीनर बना लेंगे, तभी बात बनेगी. नहीं तो ये सब भाषणबाजी चलती रहे. Sorry, I'm very passionate about this subject and I always speak my mind. I think you know that, some of you who've been with me in this journey. Thank you very much.
Arun, your view?
Well, it's always a difficult task to speak after Mr. Uday Narang. I call him Dr. Uday Narang. Whether he's a doctorate or not, I don't know, but he's a doctorate as far as EV is concerned. I believe, Charles Dickens wrote a novel 170 years back, A Tale of Two Cities. EV, there is no one standardization. It's a tale of 5 cities. The dynamics in two-wheelers are different from dynamics in passenger vehicles. The dynamics passenger vehicles are dynamics three-wheelers. Within commercial range, you have 60% penetration in three-wheelers, and we must count the lower-end three-wheelers. Even a lot of people try to exclude it from their checklist. But when you enter into commercial vehicles, the penetration just drops to below 3-5%. So ultimately, we need to understand the dynamics. Passenger vehicles, two-wheelers, three-wheelers are playing well. Trucks have to go. And 2 segments which we don't look at all: construction equipment and tractors. 0. There's not even a whisper at this point of time. So you need a focused approach. Horses for courses, that is one part of it. What Dr. Uday Narang mentioned clearly, this last 1.5 months or 2 months has been a very tumultuous months. First time we are seeing you go to any electric two-wheeler manufacturer, among the top 5, you will not get a vehicle immediately. You go to passenger vehicles, that also the demand is going up. So clearly that inflection point is reached. But I think what is important is the customer's concern was on 5 categories: range, reach, reliability, reassurance, resale value. With the main, players coming in, serious players are there, like Dr. Narang's, companies there, some serious players are there, plus the legacy players are there. They're giving a lot of conviction and confidence to the customer. So I think there is a time which has happened. But I think what is very important is the consistency of government policy. The way incentives are, kabhi haan, kabhi na. I'm remembering old Shah Rukh Khan movie. You flip and flop. Cafe norms coming in, I don't know where it exists. A clear, more long-term approach. And if we have to bet on EV, focus on EV. Let it start, it's crawling. Let it start standing, running, then you withdraw. But the moment it starts slightly, then you withdraw and the child still falls down. So I think consistency in policy, the transition, the conviction of customers has improved. Acceptance has started rising. Last month, among two-wheelers, 17% of two-wheelers EVs sold. In scooters, EVs were there. In motorcycles, none was there. So the time has come. And last but not least, a lot of work has to be done on ensuring that the supply chain, whether in terms of rare earth metals, whether in terms of lithium, or whether it is motors, that needs to be backed up clearly. Then the future is bright. The question is not whether EV will take over. It will take over. But how fast will it take over? That's the question which has to be discussed.
So range of
Poonam,
perspectives and a very clear message, I think, for all.
Poonam, 1 second, I'll just like to, respond to
Yes.
what he's saying, because my company was the first company to buy the electric vehicles in the passenger space in 2018. We bought it for 13 lakhs probably and sold those vehicles tolke at 50,000. That's one part. Second is, in spite of seeing the problem that is happening now, the petroleum problem, we are still not learning a lesson from it, because ultimately who's producing electricity? It is again in the hands of few, which will always, we will get into a problem. I think there has to be a more sustainable model as far as production of electricity is also concerned. It cannot be in some hands only. It has to be distributed evenly. All the pies are in the same basket. So that's going to be a second challenge. Third, whom are we dependent on as far as the batteries are concerned? Are we producing it ourselves? So when we are talking about how the sustainability has to come here, the only answer is you have to have a balance, whether it is some other form of fuel or electricity also. You can't put all the pies in the same basket based on somebody in the world is driving the narrative of EVs only. Why can't we talk about LNG or bio-CNG or hydrogen? And for that matter, why can't we even say that, I would like to ask this question to Sir, Arunji, why we are not coming out with swap batteries in passenger vehicle? Because today my cost of taking one car on the road, I need to put 1.25 drivers, because there is almost 2 hours of charging time. Moment there is a swap, it will be a better solution. आज इतने साल हो गए हमको LPG के cylinders use करते हुए. There are different companies, but regulator एक ही है. That regulation is not there. So if that kind of a regulation is there, maybe adoption will be easier.
Great.
Reply to that or later?
Sure. So, sir, I'm going to start with you only from here, given that you have seen this industry evolve over decades. Now, with this whole biggest ambition that we are talking about, and the fact that these global headwinds are, on the other hand, creating hurdles, and we also talked about we are not so self-sufficient today when the requirements, be it on the battery or the infrastructure side. Still one pointed question. Where do you see this EV journey really headed from the current dynamics perspective, given that there are so many challenges that we still have? And what will it take for a genuine mass market acceptance?
So, I'll take that question and I'll also try to incorporate what my dear friend has said. In the auto ecosystem, we had 2 major policies to give it a thrust so that India becomes self-dependent on the supply chain. One was a production-linked incentive, and one was the advanced cell chemistry scheme. And now we are talking of another scheme also, which is around the corner. The challenge is the way the schemes are framed, outlined, explained. It takes so much time. Even today, the disbursal after 4 years in advanced cell chemistry is nil, and it is 3 to 4% in PLI. So whatever schemes you got in place, you need to make them user-friendly. I'm not saying you have to deviate or you have to deviation, but if nobody appears for exam and not a single student is able to crack that exam, there's something wrong either with the student or with the examiner or with the exam paper. So that is one thing which is there. I think that's an issue which needs to be addressed. So that is an important point, because unless you become self-sufficient, because if this penetration, which is 5%, 7% goes up dramatically, and today prices is not the bigger point. I agree when you took your vehicles in 2019, they were lost of, you were like the guinea pigs, let me be frank with you. But today I think technology, whether in two-wheelers, whether in three-wheelers, whether in passenger vehicles, has evolved. There is more confidence to that point of view. But I think these issues need to be solved out. And industries which we are not able to crack, like initially we had the speaker, we were talking of trucking. Because there's no clear policy of the government to promote trucking. There's a policy regarding buses. So you need collaboration or say coordination between industry bodies, manufacturers, R&D, institutions of excellence, government bodies, how to make it a symphony. Today, unfortunately, it borders more on cacophony than symphony. So that's an important part. That's the way I look at it.
So I clearly see that collaboration and consistency is one aspect that you talked about. Shubho, here your reading will matter because you have advised businesses across ecosystem. And now we are talking about, there is no consistency in policy we are saying, but then we do hear about PME drive. We do hear about the state level EV policies which are being getting rolled out. Now those all becoming more active, how do you see EV adoption playing out across different markets? Because somewhere we talked about that it's not consistent, maybe in metros. Sir also talked about why are we not talking about tier 2, tier 3 and so other cities. And then last one will be where in your assessment, keeping all of this in mind, should the real priorities lie?
See, I agree with this whole issue of policy inconsistency and also, sometimes policy being very hard to take advantage of on the ground, right? And but at the same time, I really don't see that as a very prohibitive issue right now in terms of propagation. So, I think we talked about the three-wheelers having 60% penetration of electric. Do you know which are the fastest growing markets in electric three-wheelers, particularly when you talk about cargo? Those are not tier 1s. Those are your tier 2, tier 3s. For example, Assam, West Bengal, Bihar are huge growing markets there. And this is not Guwahati or Calcutta that we are talking about. These are tier 2 cities that we are talking about. So in India, 75% of the electric vehicles charge at home. And that is something which actually happens, is probably easier to arrange in semi-urban rural. So that is happening to a certain extent. But yes, as I said, the confidence comes only when the inhibitions in your mind are broken. And that can happen only when you see things in action. So for that, towards that, policy is definitely important, and policy consistency, which all players are looking for, is important.
So we are saying that things have to be in action in our perspective. Ashok, I am going to ask you this because that's where, when it comes from the commercial fleet side, your experience is most relevant somewhere. You also talked about, and sir said that it starts with kind of a guinea pig. I'm not going to say that, but having operated one of the largest corporate mobility fleets, we also talked about the total cost of ownership, right? So how does this total cost of ownership, when one were to compare from an electric vis-a-vis other conventional options today, there is still a delta is what we see. And in your opinion, what is it still needed to make this fleet adoption more compelling at scale?
Simple logic again. Somewhere the cost per kilometer has to be at least equal. I'm not saying more. It can be certainly equal, provided a vehicle does somewhere around 500 or 600 kilometers in a day, because the fixed cost of the vehicle will get amortized over number of kilometers. But that's not happening when it comes to smaller vehicles like sedans and MUVs. One of the suggestions, and possibly again, I would ask Mr. Arun, is that why is swapping not possible in the cars? Because that was an easier proposition, one. Second is, why the cost of the battery and the cost of the car be segregated, and then you charge per kilometer on SaaS basis the way we do a lot of other things. In that case, the cost of the vehicle will be much, much lower than the IC engine, and the cost of the battery is a separate cost. So that's something which is workable, and this will actually enhance the penetration of EVs into the fleets, into the entire ecosystem.
Taking the question of swapping, there is no two opinion it is possible. Unfortunately, I tell you what has happened. The ecosystem of swapping, or you can say the alternatives of swapping, have not been developed well. But I think when you take passenger vehicles, let's take one segment. There are two segments. One is clearly the fleet segment, where you say that driving, 400, 500 kilometers is clearly possible in a day, and it goes to about 6,000, 7,000 kilometers a month. And one is passenger personal vehicles, where it doesn't at the moment exceed 800 to 1,000. So personal vehicles, there's no clear need at this point of time, because you will charge your battery and it will last 5-6 days, and today's manufacturers are doing. But clearly, I think if fleet has to be ensured as to done, swapping facility, government has to take initiative. We haven't seen a certain initiative. There are companies which are there, like Sun Mobility is there, but somehow it's not working. There's no two opinion that it will serve a lot of purpose, but somebody has to take that initiative part of it.
One more question, sorry.
So I don't want to dialogue with us.
No. It
She's
is
moderating the panel.
It is
question.
pertinent.
My only submission was we have Pramod here who's very much into the battery swapping
only
side.
one question, please.
Fair enough.
And that is, why some 20-25 years back we have converted all the diesel vehicles and petrol vehicles into CNG. Some 20-25 years back, we have converted all petrol and diesel vehicles into CNG because there was a mandate from the government. Is that possible in the current vehicles that, with stringent controls, can we penetrate? Because that is the only way if you are able to convert the existing fleet also into a EV fleet. And technology is available.
So the Delhi government has come out with the EV policy, although it's not covering passenger vehicles to that extent. It's covering to some extent. As far as two-wheelers, three-wheelers, it is covering. I agree with you, if a mandate comes, a mandate can be in forms of incentivization or disincentivization, because +2 and -2 makes 4. So you have to incentivize something and disincentivize something. Clearly it's possible.
लगता है manufacturer book करने नहीं दे रहे होंगे.
So Pramod, I'll come to you. You have already heard there are few debates which are happening, but I will still place my question as well, which is there. You have seen this from ground up, kind of. Where are you seeing the meaningful progress still happening on the ground today? And given the gaps in the policy that we just talked about, in your experience, what is it that still needs to be addressed, very meaningfully for this ecosystem, entire ecosystem that we are talking about, that it should scale reliably? So on both the counts, and you can also address the debate that we are having.
I'll try to answer whatever I can for Ashok at least. Swapping exists in cars also. Neo car in China is there, and they have 3,000 swap stations, and they're going. Let me not get into it. Unfortunately, I'm not in that segment. It'll come, sir. trucks have come. 2 Chinese companies are already operating in India. In last 6-7 years, when truck electrification started, I think the total number of trucks which are sold were around 250 in last 6 years. But since the time battery swapping has come, Anirudh also mentioned in his talk, and also I know EIM, who is signed contract was 5,000 trucks. So one day your problem will also be solved. And I'll put it on to retrofitters. I know personally I'm talking to. But as a company, we are not in car segment, so I'm sorry I can't solve that problem, but I can help you solve the problem. We are in battery swapping segment right from 2-wheeler to 50-ton truck, name any vehicle. For 2 and 3 wheelers, or right up to 4 N1 category Tata Ace, we have vehicles on road which are doing battery swapping. And as on date, we have around 100,000 vehicles which are running successfully, clocking 8 million kilometers a day, accident-free touch. Thanks to partners like Uday, who has been one of the biggest contributor out of many other partners who are there. So we're doing around 150,000 swaps, 8 million kilometers a day, and the number is growing. I think last 5 years we did around cumulatively 2 billion, but we'll be clocking 1 billion within this month. So the number is growing very fast, and the growth is happening. Again, I'll say unit cost economics is the most important thing for driving this sector, which we are doing. We have done successfully in 2 and 3 wheelers, and we have formed a joint venture with Indian Oil, which is kind of scaling up. And we are focusing now on trucks from 3 ton to 55 ton, including buses and trucks. And a lot of talks happen on the policy front. Let me, for the benefit of the audience, I think policy front, lot of things have happened. In 2 and 3 wheeler segment, roughly everything is kind of stabilized and is growing, is on its own. I don't think it requires. If you look at what my colleague, fellow panelist said, 60% in L5N category, you don't require any more policy now. The sector is growing on its own. That's what the current status is. Now, important thing is how do you, from the high utilization sector, you make it mass market? That is what we need to talk, and I think that is what is happening, and that is where we need to discuss what we're doing. We are doing now, as I said, we have done pilots for 55-ton truck, 5.5-ton truck, 10.5 meter bus, and 12-meter bus with all ABC OEMs of the country. And in fact, I have signed contract only yesterday at 30% cheaper cost per kilometer for a bus running in Mangalore area. So which are launching commercially in the month of September. So that's what is happening. I'll keep on saying it is all about the unit cost economics, and it's not, pardon my language, Uday, it's probably not about TCO, it is about EMI kam hota hai ki nahi hota. Month on month, the market which we are dealing in is, am I reducing month on month EMI? Is take home pay is increasing or money is increasing? That is the Indian market. And you have to work for this market, and you have to work, how do you improve the efficiency? How do you bring down the cost? How do you make person behavior, if not better, equal to the fossil fuel world in terms of pricing, take home, timings, everything possible. That's what we are able to do using battery swapping. Now, coming to your question of what we need to do, as I said, I think we are well stabilized in 2 and 3 wheeler. We are working in on HEV segment, and probably what we need to do is on the policy front, which we are requesting the government is this for across the segment. I think the real estate and upstream power remains a challenge in the country for the electrification, and uptime of the upstream power is extremely important. You are in energy business. If the upstream power is not there, losing business every day. So that's what is required. I was just checking, being the old oil petroleum man, and also being the part of CNG journey in Delhi. In 99, when Supreme Court directed that CNG is a must in commercial vehicles, I think government came forward and provide the real estate on priority to the sector. So can you do, as a part of the urban town planning for charging or swapping infrastructure, the real estate allocation from day one, instead of everybody running around finding the real estate, probably it will help the sector a lot. And also providing, when you're talking heavy vehicle sector, On the highway, I think grid remains a huge challenge. I mean, you don't have power at 8 hours a day. You have those rural grids on the highways. I mean, there needs to be investment done in the rural grids, for upgrading them and providing the electricity. That's what to think. And I think government, again, for the benefit of, again, audience, on the heavy vehicle segment, government has realized trucking is required. Truck and bus together are, they are about 5% of the vehicle population, but 60% of the fuel consumption they're doing. And 50% of transportation pollution they're adding to. So probably this sector government has realized, and I think they're doing a lot on the policy front in terms of credit enhancement tools or infrastructure status. Things are moving, so hopefully in next few months we'll see some more. That's what I say. Thank you.
So I have kept you as the final person to hear your perspective. As was said that after you speak, it's very difficult for others to speak. So Uday, this question is for you because we just heard about cost of economics. We heard about the penetration is not same across. And you know this market kind of inside out, across this ecosystem. Where is it that you still feel that there is a sustainable business momentum with the current challenges that we are still seeing? And which fundamentals in your judgment will matter the most, as this market starts maturing, because that's what we are aiming for.
Well, first of all, great to be with such eminent panelists and some of the work they're doing. Look, this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. हमने जब ये journey start करी थी आज almost 10 वर्ष हो गए हैं. I'll give an advice to all the startups. Quickest way to become a millionaire from a billionaire is to become an OEM in EV. You'll lose a lot of money quick and you'll take a lot of hard acts. अगर मैंने जितने पैसे OSM में लगाए हैं, मैं गुड़गांव प्रॉपर्टी में होता तो मैं आज बहुत बड़ा चौधरी बना होता, इधर घूमता फिरता नहीं. So I'll tell you that. But we got into this business because we wanted to make a change. But I'll also tell you that this business is one of the most exciting businesses that whether it doesn't have to be an OEM, whether you are a charging infra player, whether you're battery swapping. I mean, honestly, you're saying about battery swapping. Sir, हमने इनके साथ काम शुरू किया था 4-5 साल पहले. हमारी बैटरियां चोरी हो गई, स्वैप बैटरियां चोरी हो गई सारी. कितने FI डाले, कितनी प्रॉब्लम्स. ये इंडिया इतनी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड कंट्री है ना सर. मतलब यहाँ पे हर चीज का जुगाड़ है, right? So my point is, you're absolutely right. We can have passenger vehicle swap stations. Infrastructure takes a lot of money. When we first started, Sun, which is now called Indofast, had a few stations. Today, they're all over the country and they're doing a phenomenal. I honestly don't see. I know Honda's there. I just saw. मैं रात को घूमता फिरता हूँ, मैं infrastructure check करता हूँ. VinFast के भी लग गए हैं. But the size of infrastructure that Indofast has is very hard, and they've got a great partner in, and I'll make sure I'll charge Chetan San for promoting Indofast. But what I wanted to say is, in this challenging environment, the one thing matters: the 2-wheelers and the 3-wheelers. The game is on. Up to the N1 category. But the 2 and the 3, the game is on. Because what you need, and I'll tell you what, we all made mistakes, including myself, was, product dal diya. When you get to tier 1 or maybe 2, to tier 3-4 cities में, उनको वैसे ही product समझ नहीं आ रहा, और उसकी service. अब वो electronics है. अब वो electronics ठीक कौन करेगा? रूरल इंडिया में. उसके पास एक्सपीरियंस है, ही और शी नहीं है. उसके बाद व्हीकल्स डाल दिए और स्पेयर पार्ट्स ही नहीं है. So like you said, supply chain. So I think what has happened is the market is maturing. You see all the big boys and the girls are in this game, and I'm glad to see Bajaj, Mahindra, TVS, Hero, everybody, and a few of us startups left in this game. बाकी तो सब खत्म ही हो गए जो हमने शुरू किया था. But the point is that we have learnt the swapping stations are increasing. The charging infra, to me, needs to really be put across this country, right? हम लोग अपने चाइना को compare करते हैं. चाइना का infrastructure on ये सब देखो. I mean, it's way beyond, right? And honestly, मुझे नहीं लगता, हो सकता है मैं गलत हूँ, गवर्नमेंट पे डिपेंड करने के लिए बहुत सारा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर लगेगा। क्या होगा, आज दिक्कत आ रखी है, 3-4 महीने 6 महीने, जब जब वेस्ट एशिया का प्रॉब्लम चला जाएगा भूल जाए। आप सब लोग इस जर्नी में घुसो, हेल्प करो। सिर्फ यही मत सोचो कि मेरा शॉर्ट टर्म गेन क्या है। दिस इज अ मैराथन, दिस इज a not a sprint. And you know, I'm a big Martin Luther King. I spent a lot of years in the US, and his famous speech on I have a dream. I do have a dream that this future country, you know, दिल्ली की पॉलिसी बहुत अच्छी है सर। पहले भी थी पॉलिसी, 1 रुपया नहीं मिला। आपको ही पता है, मुझे पता है, 1 रुपया नहीं मिला, वो शटर ही डाउन रहा। हमने पॉलिसी के लिए जाके मांगा। उन्होंने कहा जी हमारे पास तो हमारा सिस्टम ही नहीं चल रहा है ना। वो सिस्टम 4 साल से ही बंद था, फिर गवर्नमेंट बदल गई, राइट। सो पुटिंग द पॉलिसी, we're all excited about Delhi, but I want to actually see execution, right? That is where, and I'm sorry, I'm saying some harsh things. Some people will like it, some people won't like it. मेरी उम्र हो गई है, मुझे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, मैं तो बोलता ही जाऊंगा, right? It doesn't matter. But I'll tell you one thing: put India first, and all of us forget. Listen, I really hope. I love Gadkari ji. I love everybody what they say. But हमें करना पड़ेगा. अगर हम ही करेंगे, तभी कुछ होगा. But what is good is the big boys and the girls love. They understand this game. They're all in here, right? You see Bajaj, I mean, all the big guys and girls are in here, which will help building this ecosystem faster. And I hope, abhi jitni bhi zindagi bachi hai, I hope to see the infrastructure develop. And number one policy, India को energy independence अगर नहीं आया, सर वो 3rd largest economy से ना 2 महीने में ही 6th largest में आ गए, और अगर ये चला तो 10 पे आ जाएंगे। तो ये सबसे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट मुद्दा है, ठीक है। इलेक्शन जीतना हारना चलता रहेगा, लेकिन ये मुद्दा बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। थैंक यू वेरी मच अगेन।
So, lot of perspectives and areas that we have covered today. While I hear that it's a marathon, not a swing, but before I conclude, I'm still going to ask one final question to each one of you. And this time, Uday, I'll start with you. What is that one development you are most anticipating over next 3 to 4 years in this EV transition journey?
I'm expecting young men and women of this country to focus on building. Please, ये सब बकवास स्टार्टअप्स बंद करो और टेक्नोलॉजी, AI, इस पे काम करो, तभी भारतवर्ष आगे बढ़ेगा। नहीं तो हम ये 2-4 क्रिकेट मैच देख के और 2-4 बॉलीवुड को नाचते देखते रह जाएंगे। एक अपॉर्चुनिटी आती है, एक बैंड होता है, वो बैंड हमारे पास है अभी। I really hope this young generation really takes it in their hands and build a great India. That's my vision. That's my pray and hope for this country.
Pramod, your take?
I think in EV space, we have to truly become Atmanirbhar Bharat. Unless our own homegrown manufacturing improves on the tech front and otherwise, it's a question of dollar going to today to the other world, it'll start going to China's. Unless I have my own industry, development, whether the chip side or the battery technologies. I mean, it was already covered. ACC PLI launched 5 years back. I still have to see a sell out of it. I'm 100% dependent on China for that. So can I do my electrification of this 100 billion USD industry overnight? No. So without self-sufficiency on the raw material, on the battery technologies, I don't think we can, go ahead.
Arun, your take?
Well, the two parts. One is that, when we talk of Make in India, it has to be an integrated approach. R&D, supply chain, production, sales, and ultimately the product has to be satisfied to the customer. So that's one element which is important. And I think supply chain R&D, we are still on a very shaky wicket at this point of time. That is one element. The second element, I think, which Uday also mentioned is whatever policies we have in place or whatever actions we have in place. I'm not talking government policies, even manufacturer policies. How to execute them in a right manner with speed and accuracy, that's going to be important. We don't need any new heavy funda stuff which is there. The shift is coming, it will come there. And certain segments which are totally left out, which nobody looking, don't look at the tiger won't look at you. Construction equipment, trucks to a large extent, tractors, we need to look at alternatives there also.
Shubho, your perspective?
I would say two things. One is indigenization of the supply chain, upstream capacity coming up. And the second thing personally which I'm very interested in is basically range. And in that I'm personally very interested in fast charging technology. That will be a game changer in terms of the segments that Arun talked about. I would think that, we are talking about a lot of solutions, but what really will make a difference in the long haul is fast charging.
Ashok?
I think it is the economic sustainability of the product which is very important. हम कुछ भी बोल सकते हैं, we can talk about anything, but until unless it is lapped by the people who are running the business, it is not going to work. Otherwise, all the products will shove down our throat, and sometimes maybe we will retaliate. And that is not the right thing to do, actually speaking. So one is from the manufacturer side, government side, the product has to be there. Today, in passenger car segment, there is no car which is actually economical in EV space. Whether in terms of technology, whether in terms of range. If you are asking for the range, then the price is like 50 lakhs or 60 lakhs. If you're talking about a car which is costing around 12, 13 lakhs, then the range is around 200. I think there has to be some amount of standard which has to come, or maybe segregation of battery from the car. Otherwise, all these things, whatever that we are talking, is just in the air. We are just talking for the sake of talking.
Exactly, which is why I was saying that the game changer in this case, therefore, will be fast charging once that technology is stabilized.
जो भी affordable होगा ना, either you have a great product to sell or idea to sell, or you are very price economical. वरना आपको फिर टाई लगा के बेचना ही पड़ेगा.
Clearly much to look forward to. With that, we come to the end of this discussion. I can see hands raised. Few hands raised. Okay, I had not parked that as part of it, but let's take two questions. Can we have the mic?
Good afternoon. My name is Srinivas Kumar Irrapotu, and I'm the Global Vice President for International Federation of Electric Vehicle Association. A personal note to Sri Arun Malhotra ji, if you support extensively MSME sector, I would recommend your name for the next chairmanship of IFABA. And now, coming to the question, sir, by some wonderful luck and destiny, like what happened in Tamil Nadu, suppose each one of you have become decision makers, what would be the 3 best steps you would take for the EV sector to become 100% EV India?
First and foremost is it should not be 100%. That is the first decision. And the reason I'm saying is because there has to be a balance which has to be maintained. Tomorrow if something happens like what is happening in the West, I think we'll have a problem here.
We take one last question. I can see your hand raised. Whichever one. Yeah, go ahead.
Indian temperature is far worse than Europe and China. It is approximately 45 degrees Celsius outside. So the batteries degrade a lot faster than it in Europe and other climate. So how we are tackling that? So like in terms of like OEMs are also giving warranty for only 1400 life cycles, that is or 600 life cycle if we talk about like only 1.5 lakh kilometer. After that the battery can last up to 3000 cycles, like typical LFP, but brand usually don't provide warranty. Same thing like frequent breakdowns happens in battery operated space. So
Listen, I think you have a very valid point. When we first started, you're right. Degradation of batteries, over the years was high. One solution is obviously swap. Swap में बैटरी डालो, एक स्टेशन में जाओ, तो आपका कोई एक्सपोजर ही नहीं है बैटरी डेग्रेडेशन का, तो आपकी बुक्स पे भी नहीं है. So that is one option, right? So I think that is, but पहले the problem was there was not enough infrastructure. The infrastructure is coming out, and I see the infrastructure building more and more and more. So I think that's one. The other side is, I'll be honest to tell you, I'm coming out very shortly with lifetime warranty on battery. Lifetime, all right? So when we give a lifetime warranty on a three-wheeler battery, I don't think that's going to be a question. I think today, new technology, new cell technology is coming out. I'll say BYD just came out with something which was 5-minute fast charging, with some super life cycles. So I think as we go along, whether it's LFP, NMC, aluminum air, there's a lot of new things coming out. The key part on all of this is going to be India में कोई पे करना नहीं चाहता और चाहिए सब कुछ, right? That's the biggest problem. कि मुझे 10 साल की वारंटी भी चाहिए, मुझे ये भी चाहिए, मुझे वो भी चाहिए, और हमें कुछ पे नहीं करना. So I think in England we say if you pay peanuts you get monkeys. थोड़ा बहुत हमारे को ये हम चाइना से उठा के ले आते हैं स्कूटर 20,000 या 30,000 में, और वो इंस्टाग्राम में चलते हैं कि हरियाणा में, एमपी में, कहीं भी. अब वो 20-25 हज़ार के स्कूटर में आपको चाहिए क्या, राइट? उसमें आग लगेगी अगर आप इतना काम. So I think there is a sort of a middle ground here, but I think a lot is changing, and I think that you will see better. I think if you look at the new technology that Mahindra has come out, Tata has come out, all these vehicles have got some great new technologies with that situation not going to be. The biggest problem, and I think it is still that, and Arunji, I mean, you talked about it, it's resale value of electric vehicles. That's where more work needs to be done so that finances and resale value of vehicles. So time's up, so I'll leave it.
So I would just like to add one point here. So we are a startup, Electrica Energy. We increase battery life by 25% of this without any hardware change in any of the vehicle. We make sure of like how the vehicle get older, we charge a battery accordingly. So this is the service that we provide. It is totally digital twin, no hardware involvement from either of the side. So I did my research at IIT Mandi, where my problem was to solve the degradation problem of battery in temperature climate like India, and slow the degradation and study electrochemical behavior. So this was the question, like recently GCC operator have been fined 55 crore by Pune government, and Bangalore has fined 25 crores, and more than 60% issue are from this battery side. So yeah.
Right. I know there are few hands raised, but I think there is quite a few other agenda which is lined up. Request you to please share your questions offline. Definitely they will be answered, at least. That is what I have been told. So with that, we come to the end of this discussion. Thank you to my fellow panel members for your insights, and thank you all for part of this conversation.